Hi, today I'm going to be reading I Was Born in a Tree and Raised by Bees by Jim Arnosky. I would like to introduce you to an old friend, a character I invented over a decade ago when I myself lived in a cabin in a forest. Whatever the season, Crinkleroot keeps his eyes open and his nose poked out. He can find puzzles hidden among the leaves and stories written in the snow. There's nothing he'd like better than to share them with you. Jim Arnosky, Ram Tales, 1988. I was born in a tree and raised by bees. Jim Arnosky. For my dinner. Hello, my name is Crinkleroot. I was born in a tree and raised by bees. I can whisper in 100 languages and speak caterpillar, turtle, and salamander too. I live in the deepest part of the forest, right under its tallest tree. From my doorstep, I can feel the whole world turning. It's spring, and everything is coming alive. The bee tree is humming near my woodpile, is humming with worker bees, out searching for the finest blossoms. Inside, the queen bee is busy laying eggs. The queen is the mother of all the drones and workers that live in the hive. She is much larger than they are. I'll climb out and see if I can pick her out for you. See if you can find the queen bee among all the bees on the honeycomb. Remember, she is much bigger than the rest of the bees in the hive. Look at all these wildflowers poking up through the leafy soil. I like to remember where wildflowers grow so I can stop and see them when they bloom. I never pick any wildflowers. I think they look pretty just where they are. Plants and animals grow best in their natural surroundings. The moccasin orchid grows in bogs and rocky woods where the soil is moist. Whoever named this flower thought it looked like an Indian's moccasin. Trout lilies grow along the shady banks of streams. Wild strawberries grow best in sunny open thickets. Arrowheads grows in shallow water. I grow best wherever I can stretch out my arms and breathe fresh, clean air. My, all this hunting for wildflowers has given me the munchies. Come inside while I pop some corn. Popcorn is my favorite snack. I grow it in my garden. Do you know how popcorn grows? I'll show you, and then you can grow it too. Fill a plastic container halfway with soil. Place one kernel of corn in it, cover with plastic wrap and a rubber band, and place on a sunny sill. After a few days, the kernel will have come alive. It will reach out of itself and feel for the moist soil in the container. After a week or so, the kernel will have begun to root, and soon it will anchor itself firmly in the soil. Then the fresh green shoot will reach up and up until you'll have to remove the cover to give it room to grow. This is a special place I like to visit. Sometimes I fish, and sometimes I just watch quietly. Often a deer will tiptoe down for a drink. On a crisp autumn day, I listen to the leaves falling on the water. Tiny minnows swim in the stream. They sparkle in the ripples. A kingfisher flies to the stream and perches on an overhead branch to watch for minnows. This kingfisher is diving for supper. How many minnows can you see? Summer. Summer in the forest is a time of misty mornings and sunny afternoons. Turkeys perch in the treetops, and colorful snakes sun on hot, dry rocks. An old woodsman told me he once pulled a rattlesnake out of his beard. It was more than 10 feet long. Toads are skillful hunters. They move much more quickly than you think. If you see a toad out in the open, It is probably hunting. It sits as still as a statue until an insect comes close to its sticky tongue. Then, in a flash, it snatches it up. Almost right away, the toad is just like a statue again, waiting. I've been watching this toad for a long while now, and I've seen him catch a few bugs. How many times can you see it snatch a meal? It's such a nice night to stroll in the moonlight. If you are very quiet, you can see some of the shyest animals in the forest. All the animals with me are nighttime creatures. They sleep or hide all day, waiting until it's dark to move about. As summer is ending, I like to pick leaves from the trees. Then I trace each leaf shape onto a piece of paper. Soon I have enough drawings to make a leaf book. I tie the papers together with yarn. You can do the same thing. Then, when you get to school in September, you and your friends can look up the names of all the trees. Autumn. Leaves everywhere you look. Red leaves, yellow ones, gold or red, and nutty brown. There is so much to see and smell and hear and feel in the autumn. I like to sit quietly in the forest, close my eyes, and listen for sounds. Be very still. Listen to the sounds. How many do you recognize? How many smells do you recognize? After a while, you may be able to hear sounds and smell smells most people never even notice. I was sitting listening when I heard a hoot hoot coming from over there. Owls are funny to watch. They cannot move their eyes around in their sockets like most creatures. They twist their heads into the oddest positions to see in different directions. Once an owl I was watching spread its round wings and glided silently down after a snake. The snake fought to escape, but the owl was stronger and won its meal. Every creature depends on other creatures to survive. Owls eat snakes, snakes eat frogs, frogs eat dragonflies, dragonflies eat butterflies, and butterflies live on the sweet juice of flowers. Some animals, like the opossum, eat many kinds of food. An opossum will eat anything from an earthworm to a robin's egg. Hidden here are different animals and plants that an opossum eats. Winter. As the weather gets colder, food in the forest is harder to find. Mice gnaw their way into my warm cabin. Raccoons make nightly visits to my garbage pile. Deer roam farther into the forest looking for food. I keep my bird feeders full of crunchy seed and fatty suet. Bird feeders are easy to build. My favorite is one I made from milk cartons. All the things you need to make one can be found around the house. 3 milk cartons, 1 long stick, about 18 inches, glue, twine, a pair of scissors, and some brown paint. Cut the bottoms off 2 of the cartons and throw the tops away. Then, after cutting a nice quarter-sized hole in each side of the 3rd carton, glue the 2 bottoms in place under the holes. After it has dried, give the whole feeder a coat of paint. Then, once the paint is dry, poke a hole for the twine and 2 more for the stick to pass through. And you'll be ready to fill it with crunchy seeds and hang it outside. The only time of year I'm awake before the birds is the morning of winter's first snowfall. I like to see what wild creatures have been out and about during the night. Animal tracks in the snow always tell a story. Follow these tracks around my cabin and see what stories you can read in the snow. I snowshoed a bit farther into the forest this morning and came on a flock of wild turkeys. They looked so much like the forest itself, I nearly missed them. How many turkeys do you see here? Many animals roam about in the cold weather, but others, like snakes and woodchucks, sleep through the winter in a warm, comfortable place. These animals are called hibernators. There are animals hibernating in the frosty soil underneath my cabin. The seasons are constantly changing. Tonight I'm glad to have my toasty wood stove, but it won't be long before I'm smelling spring in the wind and the circle of the seasons will be moving once again. Right now, I'm going to curl up by the fire and do a bit of hibernating myself. Remember, there are puzzles everywhere, hidden among the leaves, in the streams, and stories written on the snow. So keep your eyes open and your nose poked out, and someday you may be talking caterpillar, turtle, and salamander too. Crinkleroot.